and Hollywood Bowl. Register at lincoln.ja.org.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solution. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
The sport of baseball became segregated in 1889. In 1947, Jackie Robinson broke the major league color barrier when he joined the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Certainly baseball has grown considerably, and we're quite proud of the role that we played in it.
Every year on April 15th, all MLB teams celebrate Jackie Robinson Day to honor this civil rights pioneer. We salute Jackie Robinson during Black History Month.
Hog Wild's giant sub-baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house-smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Ever feel judged at the gym?
You don't know how to use the leg curl machine? Are you serious? Is this your first day alive? No, it's okay. I love helping people during their first day on Earth.
At Planet Fitness, get energy without the judgment and join the judgment-free zone. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Get energized today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for $1 down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, February 16th. See Home Club for details.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Happy Hour.
You guys want a happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It's the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert with you. If you were listening yesterday, you'll know that Rico was out of town, is still out of town after the Supernovas get a big win last night on the road at the home of the Grand Rapids Rise. Now they are on the move once again from Grand Rapids to Las Vegas. And so DP, who was just in Las Vegas for a couple of days at the tail end of last week, goes right back to Vegas after being in Grand Rapids for a little over 24 hours or so. So that match between Omaha and the Vegas Thrill, who, by the way, the Vegas Thrill just came into Omaha and took, I believe it was out of 5 sets.
Five-setter,
yeah.
yep.
5 setters, 3-2 over the Supernovas. So now the Omaha Supernovas, that is, will go to Vegas on Thursday night. For that one, it's going to be a 7 p.m. first serve Central Time, which means 5 p.m. Central, or no, maybe it's the other way around. 9 p.m. serve
Central
here. Yes, 7 there.
Yes.
9 p.m. Central serve here, 7 p.m. Serve out in Vegas. As always, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line. Both those open for you guys the entire show today, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 961. Have plenty of stuff to get to on today's show. We're going to just kind of really quickly wrap up the noon hour here in this segment. And we're going to do it by talking Waste Management Open, because I'm not sure if you saw this, Austin, but the Waste Management Police Department, or not the Waste Management, the Phoenix and Scottsdale Police Department put out numbers on calls for service, arrests, ejections, trespassing calls on the Waste Management Open that occurred over this last weekend. And if you haven't been following the story, I actually mentioned late last week that they're expecting to sell 1.1 million beers, bottles of cans, whatever, of beer over the course of the weekend. Not $1.1 million, 1.1 million actual units. And that's not including mixed drinks. That's not including other alcoholic beverages, just 1.1 million beers.
It's the beer minimum.
It is. It is the beer minimum. And if you don't know, on the 16th hole, if it's a hole in one, people throw and chuck their beer onto the course. It's a whole deal. Well, it felt like this year's was getting more and more publicity leading up to the event in terms of like, let's make it a party atmosphere. And the folks lived up to it. It was rainy. It was not great weather out in Arizona this last weekend, and which was causing a lot of injuries, a lot of accidents, a lot of people slipping and falling into bunkers, not only because they were intoxicated, but also because the course was slippery and muddy. Well, how about these numbers? They had to stop selling beer halfway through the tournament over the weekend because there were so many incidents that were occurring and people were just becoming so belligerently drunk that they had to stop. So overall calls for service, and this is compared to 2022, 2023, and now this year in 24. In 2022, they had 440 total calls for service over the 4-day tournament. In 2023, that number rose to 558. This year, almost another 100 more calls were made in the total of 653 calls for service over the weekend.
Which, to be fair, the rate did slow down a little bit. 440 to 558 is a bigger jump than 558 to 653, but it's still a record high.
That's right. Now, more importantly, this is the more dangerous stuff that's happening. There were, in 2022, 90 people ejected from the tournament. In 2023, just a 12-person increase at 102 people ejected. However, in 2024, they saw a more than 100% increase with 211 people getting ejected from the tournament.
Double and change.
Double, yes. In terms of trespassing, obviously, because this course is surrounded by houses and other private property. In 2022, 14 people got in trouble for trespassing. 41 people got in trouble for trespassing in 2023. And this year in 2024, 73 people got in trouble for trespassing.
How do you trespass? Just like not buy a ticket and try to walk in, or do you like run through someone's lawn and jump their fence and try to get in?
Or you're already in the tournament and you jump in somebody's lawn.
There it is. Yeah.
You could, jumping in pools, because everybody out in Arizona has a pool.
Right.
You have all those issues going on. Now, here's the big one: arrests. 54 people were arrested this last weekend at the Waste Management Open. That is up from 2023's number of 18 people arrested. And that number was up from 0 in 2022. Not a single person was actually arrested at the Waste Management Open in 2022.
Good, clean, wholesome fun just 2 years ago.
And it was incredible. That's when it really started to take off, was in 2022. It was like, all right, this is a party. I know there was a hole in one that year. Like, this is the time. This is the place to be. Last year in 2023, they had the Waste Management Open and the Super Bowl going on at the same time down in Phoenix. Right? People might remember that because it was at the home of the St. Louis Cardinals last year. The Super Bowl was. And so that potentially contributed to the rise of numbers, the increase in numbers. But this year, people just went down and decided to be idiots. And now I will say, Jake was talking about this morning that his buddy Seth doesn't want to go down anymore, doesn't want to go down there to the tournament anymore. And this is where I want to involve you guys, 402-464-5685. This was a thing that me and my buddies were talking about the last couple of years. It was like, all right, let's start planning a guy's trip to go down there. Let's start thinking of a way to get down to Arizona for the Waste Management Open. We're big golf guys. We love to do it. We're actually going to golf the course in a couple of months when we go down to Arizona.
Let's go.
Like, we're pumped for this. But now the thought and the belief of like, yes, do we really want to make time for the Waste Management Open when it's just basically going to be a giant drunk fest? The golfers are going to be pissed off at you as well. That was a big thing this last weekend where videos were coming out of golfers yelling at fans. It just feels like it's turning into this thing where it's maybe I don't want to spend a weekend and a couple thousand to go down to Arizona for this.
Which is really too bad because it kind of felt like in some ways the best thing golf had going for it outside of the majors, right?
Yeah.
I think golf is still getting over the reputation being stodgy and hard to get into, but golf has had a lot of bad publicity with the whole PGA Live conflict, everything that's gone down with that for the last few years. So seeing people enjoying golf for what it is, having a good time, hanging out in Phoenix in mid-February, living their best lives, that was refreshing. And now they took a good thing and ruined it by going overboard.
And I must have said that the Super Bowl is at the home of the St. Louis Cardinals last year. I meant the Arizona Cardinals. Speaking of baseball seasons on the horizon, we are going to talk a little bit about that coming up in the next segment. But I thought that was interesting that once again, numbers are, much higher just this year than in 2023 of, people trespassing, of arrests, of ejections. 211 people were ejected off of this. This is why when you can get an event like, now obviously it's not portrayed like the Masters, right? That makes golf so enjoyable and actually that peaceful game, but also it's okay to embrace the waste management lifestyle, but you have to figure out a way to contain it.
Well, golf needs both, right?
Yes.
The tradition, the history, this
Similar to
pomp and
baseball.
circumstance behind the Masters was what makes it so special.
Yeah.
Right. But then the lack of that, the letting the guard down in essentially golf's off season at the Waste Management Open is what makes that one special. The US Open being tough, the British Open or the Open being rainy, right? They all have their own character, flavor that makes them special that golf needs to lean into.
Well, and we've gotten a good point on the text line here. It's big name golfers are eventually going to withdraw and they're not going to be playing in that tournament. You mentioned the differences, right, between the old traditional type of golf and then the new modern era type of party lifestyle. It's you can talk about that in the same conversation that you do baseball, right? Where it's you want to keep the traditional values of baseball and keeping it America's pastime, but also in baseball sense, figure out a way to not taunt, but it's bat flips, right? It's showmanship, right? It's how do you show up the other player and doing it while still in a respectful way, if it's possible, and appealing to the younger audience, right? And so that's what's a really intriguing side of this is that top golfers are eventually going to withdraw if they haven't already. And that was one of the big appeals of Live Golf was because there's music playing. Guys can wear shorts. Guys don't have to wear pants. It doesn't have to be so official. It feels like it can be a little bit more relaxed, like you and I would go play on a Sunday afternoon. That was the draw, the attraction of Live Golf, part of it, right? In addition to the ludicrous amounts of money. But now the PGA Tour, who's kind of dialed it back on some of their rules, right? They're allowing some of the Live players to play. They're allowing some mergers to happen, things like that. Here they are in danger of losing top golfers to one of the more popular events for the younger generation. And am I going to want to go to an event where I honestly know, all right, Scotty Scheffler's not playing, Jon Rahm's not playing, this guy's not playing, he's not going to play. The best player out there, maybe a world number 50. I don't know if I can spend what the money is for a ticket or if I'd want to spend that money to not see the best of the best. So you got to figure out a way, I think, to contain the idiocy that was going on at the Waste Management Open this last weekend. I don't know how you do it, though. Because you can't cap beer numbers because, once again, at the end of the day, money still is king.
You wouldn't do that. It really just comes down to the adults have to be adults, right? It's each person has to look at themselves and say, can I have fun? Yes. Do I have to be an idiot? Absolutely not. And that's hard to do. That's hard to police, but reining it back in is going to be difficult, but PGA has to find a way.
Yeah, there you go. And Latex Mallard from MySpace says it's a drunk fest. Know that going into it and enjoy the chaos. Don't have to have a golf mindset for it. And I understand that. And there's obviously a lot of people there, and it's a younger crowd where we're there to we're there to party,
imbibe,
and hopefully, celebrate a hole in one on the 16th hole and chuck $50,000 worth of beer and beverages onto the course. That's great. It's also a cool scene, right? You have that in other areas of the country. Ole Miss baseball does it in their outfield. If they hit a home run, they're chucking beers up. How about this? We got a text in. This is what I was hoping for. I was at the tournament on Friday, and the thing that really upset me the most was that my girlfriend and I bought tickets back in December, and we never had our tickets scanned. The PGA needs to get that addressed to keep the attendance from getting out of control. So there you go. I mean, there's people. That's what I was hoping for. So I appreciate that text, unnamed texter, just because there were a lot of issues this weekend. And as the statistics have shown, it's only going to get worse year after year unless there's a change made. And like Sanderson and multiple other people on the text line said, you're going to lose some of your top golfers in the world playing this really enjoyable event. This one that in 2022, I mean, really, it's really boomed over these last couple of years as a come on down to Phoenix for a weekend, enjoy the Waste Management Open. It's more of a relaxed golf, style. So it fits the younger crowd, but you still get the golf and you still get the drinking and all the beverages that go along with it. Let's take a break. When we come back, it is baseball season. Baseball and softball season are in full swing. Pitchers and catchers reported today. Nebraska baseball gets started this weekend down in Dallas before making a trip to Phoenix next weekend for a 4-game set against Grand Canyon. Will Bolt will actually talk later today at 1:45, so we'll have some thoughts. We're going to be joined, Austin and I, at 1:30 tomorrow by Lance Harvell, who's an assistant coach for the Huskers as they get ready, like I said, for Dallas, and a really, really good slate of competition. We got to talk about that later in the show. Husker basketball and where they stand in some new NCAA tournament projections. All that and more coming up on the show today. Don't go anywhere. We'll officially start the 1 o'clock hour when we return on the happy hour. Huge thanks to Empire Fence and Netting for their support as always. And we'll be right back on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hog Wild's giant sub-baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house-smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Ever felt judged at the gym?
You don't know how to use the leg curl machine? Are you serious? Is this your first day alive? No, it's okay. I love helping people during their first day on Earth.
At Planet Fitness, get energy without the judgment and join the judgment-free zone. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Get energized today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for $1 down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, February 16th. See Home Club for details.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Ready to upgrade your combine in 2024? The team at Landmark Implement is here to help find the right combine to fit your operations needs. Choose from 4.5% for up to 60 months or a 12-month interest waiver, followed by John Deere financial rates with approved credit through the end of February. When you purchased a pre-owned S or X Series combine from Landmark, know you are backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running. View our current inventory online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark to experience the Landmark difference.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solutions. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting mainly cloudy skies this morning, becoming mainly sunny skies this afternoon. We'll see a high around 54. Tonight, mostly clear skies with an overnight low around 30. And tomorrow, mainly sunny skies return. For mild weather, too, we'll see a high around 57. I'm meteorologist Kyle Clutter for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
Look at me. This plane is going to Jamaica.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Austin Orman with you. 464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys. You can follow us on Twitter, Nick_Sainert at Austin Orman as well. Nebraska baseball in 3 days, less than 3 days, will be starting their season down in Texas in Arlington with Globe Life Field, the home of the Texas Rangers, as they get ready for the Shriners Children's College Showdown. Pretty prestigious tournament. There's some big names in this one. Nebraska actually gets a break. They don't have to play the Tennessees on the other side.
You're heartbroken.
They also don't have to play the Oregon Ducks, who were a super regional team last year for down here in Dallas. They will face off actually against 3 former Big 12 opponents in Baylor on Friday, Texas Tech on Saturday, and then wrapping it up with Oklahoma, who just a couple years ago, don't forget, was a College World Series appearing team, the Oklahoma Sooners, on Sunday, before next weekend having a 4-game set against Grand Canyon down in Phoenix. Now, to this point, we'll have Lance Harvell on the show at 1:30 tomorrow to talk and preview the Husker season. But I was talking to Austin during the break here about just kind of expectations, I guess, for this upcoming season for Nebraska baseball. And just to kind of go through the history under Will Bolt, Austin and I were discussing, I mean, this is one that in his first season, he had the COVID year cut short in March, right? So that was cut short. Then in his first full season, Will Bolt is able to win the Big Ten title in the first full season in 2021, had a really strong performance down in Fayetteville for the regionals, and then follows that up with a disappointing 2 years and 2 missed NCAA regionals.
And a missed Big Ten tournament. That's the bigger deal to me.
Yes, and a missed Big Ten tournament. But it wasn't that Nebraska had talent. It was that they just didn't have pitching, it felt like. That was the big part, right? Nebraska, don't forget, set a school record last year with 97 home runs hit in 2023. But they also had 2 draft picks, 2 high-level draft picks, 3 in the first 4 rounds when you include Jace Kaminska. So now going into this season, right, you're not going to probably reach that 97 number or close to it for the home runs. You're hitting, your offense should still be pretty strong, but here we go again, finding ourselves a little bit, cautious regarding the pitching, because we saw last year time and time again how many times those midweek losses kill programs like Nebraska. And this is not to turn into the conversation of like Will Bolt is on the hot seat, but things can get uncomfortable despite being in the Big Ten at a place like Nebraska, where you have the fan engagement, you have the athletic department support, and you have a decent amount of facilities attributed to it, to where if you don't make a regional 3 straight years, things can get a little uncomfortable.
Especially in a weak baseball conference, right? I think the Big Ten is improving. I think you're seeing more and more investment in baseball across the Big Ten. And Nick, I'm fascinated for the next 5 to 10 years of Big Ten baseball in general. With Tony Petitti as commissioner, a guy that, was at MLB Network, right? He's got to have some ideas for Big Ten baseball and how to elevate that brand nationally. Because right now, Nebraska baseball is, kind of in like where the WCC is in basketball, or the A10, where you have enough solid teams that have enough name recognition that some of the national powers or fringe powers will want to play you and take you seriously, but not enough. So really what you have to do is, I think it was Rutgers a few years ago, got to like 45, almost 50 wins by playing nobody in the non-conference. They missed the tournament, or like one of the last 4 teams in, because they didn't beat anyone, but they got a look because of their win total. Nebraska has enough cachet and pull, and I think enough guts, right, to continue to play these big name opponents in the non-conference, to go down to Arlington. They sprinkled in, Texas in years past, and Oregon State, of course. Nebraska has the pull to be able to get those games. And of course, the expectation is win the series. It's tough to do, but find a way, make a statement early on. But just being willing to play those games, don't get swept, don't get embarrassed. That helps the RPI. And then you really have to make hay, like you said, in the midweek games. Nebraska cannot afford to be sniffing 500 in the midweek, right? You have to win at least 75% of your midweek games. I think that's the safe floor number, is 75% of your games. Omaha can't spring up and get you for 2 out of 3. Creighton is okay, but you have to win that series, 4 out of 5 years, 3 out of 5 at a bare minimum. North Dakota State, Kansas State might be a regional team this year. Those teams are at least competitive, but holy cow, like you cannot afford to let so many games slip through your fingers because it's not like you can bank on conference play boosting your RPI back up.
So Austin, we were actually I was telling you during the break, and it's officially public now. So we're going to pivot not to Husker baseball, not to another Husker men's sport, but to Husker softball, as it is officially public now. Breaking news coming your way here as star pitcher, and we have not heard anything yet. Now we have officially have word that Jordy Ball is going to be out for the season for Nebraska softball. Jordy Ball posted this on her Instagram today. In game 1 of opening weekend, I experienced an injury to my ACL that is going to cause me to support the red team in a different way than anticipated. With a heart thankful for God's plan and timing, I will be redshirting this year and looking forward to a season of growth and learning from a different point of view. I'm thankful for the support of my family, friends, coaches, and staff. I'm truly blessed to have so many wonderful and loving people in my life. I'm not going anywhere. See you in 2025. Go Big Red. So once again, Jordy Ball is done for the season for Nebraska softball after an ACL injury. Unfortunately, a very, very heartbreaking injury. So when you look at Nebraska softball, they still have a chance to do some really, really big things, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, losing a player to the caliber of Jordy Ball is detrimental in some ways, right? Not only from the leadership, not only from having that mindset on the field with you out there in the circle. It's a big part. But also one part that I would really, really lean on, and this is something that we didn't talk enough about when it came to Jordy Ball, was her on the base paths. Anybody that pays any attention to baseball, softball knows that you can win games more than you should by having aggressive but smart decisions being played out on the base paths. We saw it in the game 1, right? She stole a base against Washington the first time she got on base. The knowledge and the aggressiveness, and not only just in addition to the speed on the base paths, can win you a lot of games, can get you a free 90 feet in baseball, right? Can get you a free 60 feet in softball. So it certainly hurts Nebraska in the circle, but it also hurts them in a variety of other ways. Now, she still will have 2 years with the Huskers. She'll redshirt this year, and she'll have 2 years in 2025 and 2026.
Nebraska really loaded up outside of Jordy Ball, I think, for a run this year and next year.
Yeah.
But now the focus, I think, has to be on next year. Right? Again, I'm not going to say there's not enough on this team, but right, Jordy Ball was the centerpiece of it.
Yeah.
Right? Not just in the mound, but you get the hashtag on Twitter, I think, from Pitching Ninja, hashtag pitchers are athletes too, right? Jordy Ball wasn't asked to do more than take the circle at Oklahoma because she was incredible at it. And Oklahoma had, probably a good enough bench to field a second team that still probably would have been close to competing for the Women's College World Series.
Yeah.
She wasn't asked to hit or steal bases, which didn't mean she wasn't able to do it. But it's that multidimensional talent that leaves a lot of holes, right? I don't want to throw the Shohei Ohtani comparison out there, but kind of.
Yeah.
Her dominance in the circle, what she showed with the bat in high school, and even through the first game, right? Getting on base or one at bat, stealing the bases, and by all accounts, a leadership role on the team, right? Maybe not named a captain, but still someone that everyone on the team looks up to because of where she's been and what it is she's accomplished. So it's a gaping hole for the Huskers now, but we know they have depth. We know they loaded up to make a run this year. It just means everyone has to get, to borrow a football term, 1% better. Do your 1% more, and Nebraska will still be fine.
Well, and to your point, Austin, I mean, you look at Nebraska softball now, and this is now 2 key players that you've lost to season-ending injuries, and Abby Squire, which was known before the season started, but now Jordy Ball, who is out for season after an ACL injury. So then you look at, okay, what does Nebraska have in the circle? They have Kaylin Kinney, who's coming off that foot injury from last year, who was forced to step up in some bigger roles over the weekend. They also have Sarah Harness, who's more of an experienced arm in the circle that transferred in at the beginning of last season from, I believe, Southern Illinois. So nonetheless, now Nebraska around her, right? You still have Billy and Brooke Andrews. You still have Caitlin Kaneda, who's who's an underclassman, a sophomore in her second year. Ava Breadwell behind the dish, who will be here next year for Nebraska softball. You have some pieces in the outfield as well that are intriguing. So there's a lot more, like you said, to this roster than just Jordy Ball. But having somebody that knows how to win, who's also won at an incredibly high level, as high of a level as anybody in the entire world of softball these last 2 years, entire world of college softball specifically these last 2 years, having her unable to be out there in the field with you does throw some things off.
You mentioned Harness and Kinney. Nick, besides that, the only other players listed as pitcher on the roster, freshman.
Yep.
Freshman. Gonna have to grow up fast. And I know it's not baseball where you can throw pitchers a lot more innings, a lot more consistently, but heaven forbid something happens to Harness or Kinney.
Yeah.
There's a freshman getting the ball every other start, essentially. So the three young freshmen are going to have to grow up quick. And I still think that means the offense is going to have to take a step forward, right? You find a way to squeak it out past Long Beach State and Utah Valley. But I think the focus for Nebraska now has to be on making sure every bat counts, right? Not everyone has to hit for power. Not everyone has to hit for average. But every bat, every pitch now becomes that much more important for Nebraska in the batter's box, right? I think the defense should still be solid. We'll see about the pitching with those two that we named. But to me, the focus is going to be on the offense. Can Nebraska win more, 8-6, 8-5 games than, 4-3 games?
Yeah, so once again, if you're just now joining us or just turned on the dial late, Nebraska softball's Jordy Ball will be out for the entire season with an ACL injury. She sustained it in the first game of the year against Washington, a game where Nebraska got run ruled in that one. Nothing went right for the Huskers in that game against Washington. Nebraska got run ruled in that one, but Jordy Ball sustains an ACL injury. They waited on the reason we didn't hear some things up until earlier in this week is they waited to get testing until they got back into the States. And so understandably so. So Jordy Ball out for the year. She's going to redshirt and she will return in 2025. Still has 2 years of eligibility for the Huskers, which is a key part still, right? Yeah, doesn't lose a year of eligibility. She will still have 2 full seasons of eligibility for the 2-time national champion Jordy Ball and the Huskers. All right. So we got interrupted in our middle of our conversation with Husker baseball with that breaking news. When we return, I want to pick back up right where we left off because we were talking about midweek games. Husker fans might remember Nebraska baseball lost a plethora of games by the score of like 12-8 and 12-9, where normally, guess what? More than 6 runs should probably win you a game more times than not. But Nebraska's pitching was really disappointing at times last year, especially in the midweek, because that's when you see a lot of the younger guys needing to make strides. Who are some of those younger guys? Who are some guys that we need to be, thinking about and focusing on going into this weekend and ahead of our conversation with Lance Harvell tomorrow at 1:30? Austin and I will dive into that as we continue with Husker baseball and that conversation before we get to Stricky on the crossover after this on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solution. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606. or visit high-electric.com to get started. Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Ever felt judged at the gym?
You don't know how to use the leg curl machine? Are you serious? Is this your first day alive? No, it's okay. I love helping people during their first day on Earth.
At Planet Fitness, get energy without the judgment and join the judgment-free zone. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Get energized today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for $1 down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, February 16th. See Home Club for details.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most. For all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and we have some really big savings for you right now. Our new crossover sale is underway. New Terrains, Equinoxes, and Trailblazers starting at $23,290. That's right, $23,290. Also, we've continued our huge Sierra and Silverado truck sale with over $10,000 off new pickups. You heard right, over $10,000 off list. Koppel truly has a small town feel with big city deals. We're right down 144th Street or at koppelcars.com. Stock numbers G260980 and C119824.
Junior Achievement at Lincoln inspires and prepares today's young dreamers to be tomorrow's goal breakers, leaders, and things we haven't even imagined yet. Help more kids while having a great time at the JA Bowl-a-thon. Sign your team up and raise money to ensure the educational programs focused on financial literacy, career readiness, and entrepreneurship are always free to thousands of students. The JA Bowl-a-thon is February 16th and 17th at Parkway Lanes and Hollywood Bowl. Register at lincoln.ja.org.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting mainly cloudy skies this morning, becoming mainly sunny skies this afternoon. We'll see a high around 54. Tonight, mostly clear skies with an overnight low around 30. And tomorrow, mainly sunny skies return, or mild weather too. We'll see a high around 57. I'm meteorologist Kyle Clucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
Junior Achievement at Lincoln inspires and prepares today's young dreamers to be tomorrow's goal breakers, leaders, and things we haven't even imagined yet. Help more kids while having a great time at the JA Bowl-a-thon. Sign your team up and raise money to ensure the educational programs focused on financial literacy, career readiness, and entrepreneurship are always free to thousands of students. The JA Bowl-a-thon is February 16th and 17th at Parkway Lanes and Hollywood Bowl. Register at lincoln.ja.org.
Are you in the market for a new garage door or need to repair your old one? It's wintertime, and that means snow, wind, and freezing temperatures, all things that can cause sticky locks and damage to your garage door. If you're experiencing any issues with your commercial or residential garage door during the winter months, call Cameron Hall and his team at Doors Plus. Don't be trapped outside in the cold because of a poorly maintained garage door. Call Doors Plus today at 402-590-5800 or visit them online at doorsplusllc.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Herbie the Fourth ate his first solid food today, prompting a response of nothing but steaks all week for the Nebraska offensive line.
Then Enrique Alvarez Clary.
No more peaches and carrots for Herbie the Seventh. Baby food be damned.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick and Austin with you. Rico out of town on his way to Vegas. 464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line open for you guys. If you're watching us, appreciate you on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo Channel 961 as well. All appreciated, excuse me. If you didn't hear us in the last segment, Jordy Ball out for the year with an ACL injury, so that's a little bit of a blow to the Husker softball team, but there's still a lot of nice pieces on that Husker softball team. Go ahead, cheer, head out to Bolin, especially. They'll be in Las Cruces, New Mexico this week, and Husker softball will for a matchup against New Mexico State. Okay, now going back to baseball, because we got interrupted in our baseball conversation. You were talking about importance of midweek games, Austin, and I was looking at their schedule from last year. Nebraska baseball lost 5 midweek games last year.
Is that all?
And it
really feels like
it
more.
feels like there was more, but it was that you felt more deflated by them because it came with the outside losses of a loss on Sunday, losing 2 of 3 the following weekend. There you have it. In the span of 6 days, you have a 4-game losing streak. Don't forget, Nebraska last year started the year 0-3-1 to San Diego on a road stretch. It was unfortunate, right? Because Nebraska, there was a lot of excitement going into last season. You knew that more than likely this was your final year with Bryce Matthews and Max Anderson, that they were going to be drafted, and rightfully so. You had somewhat of an experienced weekend starter set coming back in Emmett Olson, Jace Kaminska, and then Shea Shanneman. Now all 3 of those guys are on the move, so Nebraska's going to be replacing those 3. There's a lot of new faces going to be making some big strides, or going to be forced to make some big strides this year. And most importantly, back to the midweek games, Austin, you cannot lose 2 to Creighton. You cannot lose twice to Omaha or lose to North Dakota State. Those are RPI killers. And why? Because those teams themselves are not competing on a national level and have just as low of an RPI as the next guy.
South Dakota State on that list.
Yes.
And then you combine those 5 midweek losses with you lose a series opener to Minnesota, who was one of the worst teams in college baseball the last couple of years, right? I know they had that Max Meyer team in that run where they maybe got an unfair break, but since then, Minnesota's completely fallen apart, right? You compete with Maryland for 2 days, you get blown out on Sunday. You don't sweep Nichols State, right? That absolutely means something. There's too many missed opportunities, right? And the other thing about this too is these midweek games, you don't have to just, you have to just win them, right? At the end of the day, win the game. But when you're a good team and you're taking that next step, you're winning those games decisively, right? Your offense knows that, hey, we don't have our Friday night or Saturday night guy out on the bump today. We have to triple down on every at bat. Those are the games where I would prefer to see the Nebraska offense step up. And again, I know the midweek is a time for, the younger guys to get in, not just on the mound, but in the field too, right? It's the conference series where you're supposed to make your hay. But if I'm Nebraska, I'm not in a spot to where I can play all these young guys all the time, right? Especially early in the season. I'm playing my starters until the game is in hand, the vast majority of these games, because I know I need to bank them. I know I need to get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And once again, I mean, just to look at some of the new faces, you go up and down this roster, there's quite a few number of transfers on this roster, right? But then also like some guys that you expected to have better careers up to this point, and one of those is Drew Christo, right? Drew Christo is a guy, he's from Elkhorn, Nebraska, from Elkhorn High School, played against him a couple of times back in my day.
Went deep on him?
Did not go deep. He throws hard. Nonetheless, I mean, great size at 6'5", 235. He was a guy that 2 years ago was given those midweek opportunities as a freshman and then was given them as a sophomore as well. And we haven't seen him been able to like grasp that weekend opportunity yet consistently, right? There was
even a midweek opportunity consistently.
There were some Sundays where you saw Drew get in last year, and this is not just to pick at one guy, but guys like that need to step up this year, right? Because the time has come and gone to where they can just throw Kyle Perry out there. I love KP, but there's a lot of wear and tear on his arm, man. I believe this is his 7th year. I mean, there's a lot of wear and tear on that left arm of Kyle Perry. And it's time that somebody else handles the torch. It's time.
It has to be. And it should have been a couple years ago, right? Nebraska, after making that regional, going to Game 7 in Fayetteville, lost a lot. We knew that. Being picked to win the league, I think, was respect for what Nebraska did the year before, but they should never have been picked to win it in 22. But that's when you saw, a little bit of the Emmett Olson breakout towards the end of the year. But other than that, not a lot on the pitching front. So you didn't develop it the year after you had your most success in a while. We know last year you had the weekend pitching, right? Olson maybe wasn't as good last year as he was in 22, but still serviceable at his worst, still a good pitcher. Kaminska, after he took that little break early in the season, figured I needed a little bit more rest.
Had some nice outings.
I think he absolutely did. You didn't get a lot from your Sunday guys either. So you're looking for that. And if you're questioning who you're throwing out there on Sunday, it's no shock that you're going to have questions going into the midweek, which is where the comparison that I make for Drew Christo right now is Asa Lacy.
Okay.
Which might not be fair because Drew Christo hasn't been hurt. He just hasn't been able to find the strike zone, right? Asa Lacy could have gone 1-1 in 2020 out of Texas A&M. Falls to the Royals at number 4. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, they get the 6'5", 230-pound lefty that throws hard, 2+ pitches, a third on the way, looks every part of an ace, right? Drew Christo flashed in high school. You saw the velocity, you saw the slider,
there was
also
it's
draft
there. Potential out of high school.
There absolutely was.
Yeah.
So Nebraska wasn't the only team looking at him. It was a huge coup for Nebraska to get him. So you can give Nebraska credit like you gave maybe the Royals credit for quote unquote making the right pick.
Yeah.
But the lack of development has been everything. You got more out of Jackson Jelkin before he was gone. You got more out of Jackson Brockett than you have Drew Christo, which is fine, right? You see the talent in both of those guys. But Nebraska needs Drew Christo to materialize into a for sure weekend starter this year. And if you're relying on that and you're hoping for that, it tells me that the rotation is in a little bit of a worrisome place. Like, well, Walsh, we'll see. I want to see more. Caleb Clark, you see the potential. I want to see more. But if the first name we hear from the first availability is Drew Christo's our guy, he's a leader on the team, he's really taken a step forward, that better be true because of how important this season is for this program.
It's huge. It's huge for this program, and it hasn't been the offense that's been a struggle. Now, one piece that we've neglected to talk about to this point yet is that you bring in a guy like Rob Childress to lead them.
Right.
Which is a big boost. And that's not anything against Jeff Christie. There's been struggles the last couple of seasons, especially in the pitching staff. And so, you think back, like Nebraska's last dominant starter was Cade Povich. I like that the 3-day set of it was Cade Povich and then Chance Roach. And then it was Shea Shanneman on Sunday, a younger Shea Shanneman. That was the last time that you truly felt consistently good about, all right, on Friday and on Saturday, you feel like you're going to be able to go out and get 2 wins. Bullpen games are fine on midweeks. You need to have your weekend games locked down.
It makes weekend games even tougher if your weekend guys aren't going at least 6 innings, right? You have to figure out the weekend rotation first. You can't work backwards, right? Because if you're using your bullpen, in those midweek games, which I agree is fine, and I'm okay with that if Nebraska, needs to figure out who those options are, it's a lot easier to figure out the midweek once you have your weekend figured out than figure out the weekend because then you're overtaxing guys, asking too much of them in a role they're not prepared for to be your Friday night guy and say, you have to go get a 7, right? Then you run the risk of turning your Friday, Saturday guys into Jordan Lyles, where you just need someone to eat those innings. And that's not a good spot to be in.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. So, I mean, you look at Nebraska baseball's schedule here, right? And I will say Nebraska baseball the last couple of years has played in these tournaments where they've been tested early on. You remember they went down, they played Vanderbilt last year. They played Ole Miss in the tournament last year. I believe that was up in Minnesota in Minnesota Viking Stadium. They've played in that one a couple of years. Now they're playing down at Globe Life Field down in Dallas against a couple of interesting programs. Texas Tech is nationally ranked at 21st in the country. They'll face them on Saturday.
They're not as good as they were when Colby Gomez beat them.
No. And so what I will say, though, is that Nebraska's going to get tested early on. They're going to face off against those 3 top programs or better programs in the Big 12 Conference. Then they're going to follow that up with a 4-game set on the road in Phoenix against Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon had 37 wins last year down there in the WCC, or excuse me, WAC.
They're whack.
Yeah, WAC, Grand Canyon, 37, I believe, in 21 in 2023. You look at some more then, and it's a road matchup, 4 more games on the road at College of Charleston. You look for 3 out of 4 at the worst. Like, these are the ones that you clean up. Like, you have to get 3 of 4. A split is not good enough early in the season because you're going to get the most help early in the season on your RPI. And then you kind of just have to coast it through the Big Ten, because when you play the Nichols, or when you play Omaha in the midweek, or you play even New Mexico State, those are going to potentially do more than even like a Northwestern.
We talked about, for Nebraska basketball, how few opportunities there are remaining on the schedule to improve the resume, but there are landmines everywhere that can tank it.
Yeah.
Same thing applies for Husker baseball, right? You have to capitalize early on in your non-conference slate. You have to go get at least 1 this weekend. You can't get swept out of Globe Life Field. And then you have to find a way to just stack wins, right? Whatever it takes, right? Just competing in the non-conference isn't enough for Nebraska. 40 wins has to be the minimum for this team. Pretty much every year in a conference like the Big Ten, until there are changes made, until, the UCLA and Oregon boost comes into the conference, you've got to shoot for 40, 45 wins.
Which will be a conversation for another time, because us and I were having conversations off the air about how do you get the Big Ten conference as a whole, the conference as a whole, to get more national respect. And you're playing UCLA in week 2 when they're a conference member, right? Remind me, I cannot remember. Normally the Big Ten conference is a 1 or 2 team host, right? Like, if that.
Not even hosting, just getting bids.
Just bids, right? And so you had 3 teams last year in Iowa, Indiana, and Maryland that had 40 wins. Nebraska, by the way, according to Baseball America, picked to finish 4th in the Big Ten conference this year. Nebraska last year did finish 10 games above 500, where in the SEC, that's good enough. That's you are an NCAA regional team in the SEC. In the Big Ten,
that's how you saw Ole Miss get all the way to Omaha.
Yeah, not consistently, right? Because unnamed texter says there's been 4 or 5 bids since Nebraska has joined. Not consistently.
No.
Not consistently. 40 wins, we've seen it. Isn't good enough. It wasn't good enough for Rutgers, right? You have to load up the non-con, and Nebraska has opportunities. Nebraska has plenty of opportunities where if they go into, the bulk of conference play, which would be technically March 28th, right? That's including non-cons against New Mexico State and non-con against Nichols, 3 games against Wichita State, 3 games against South Alabama that you took, that you swept last year. You swept South Alabama in the second series of the season. If you can go into conference play with fewer than 6 losses, then you're feeling really, really good about your opportunities.
Then you're in position. And then what do you have to do? You have to beat Iowa.
Yeah.
Right. Iowa's the Big Ten front runner. You have to find a way to beat Brody Brecht, who I don't think we've talked about enough, in the offseason, about the dude's touching 102.
Yeah.
It's insane. He's really good. Yes. I'm not going to say Paul Skeens. He's got to get another pitch or 2, but velocity is Skeens esque, right? Indiana was solid last year. I think they
43
take
and 20.
Yeah, I think they take a step forward. We'll see how Maryland responds to everything going on in that program.
Yeah.
I think they're due for a step back, but they have enough of that name brand that you have to find a way to beat Maryland a couple times.
Well, yeah, Maryland especially. I mean, they lose Zach Shaw to the draft. They lose a couple other pieces
Matt
as
Shaw.
well. Matt Shaw. Zach Shaw.
Your boy.
Yeah, Matt Shaw, Cubs.
Yeah.
Cubs drafted him. But nonetheless, Nebraska, there's excitement around the program. Don't get us wrong. There's also a lot of, all right, now it's time to prove it. This is a season where you kind of need to prove it. Moving over. And Greg from Lincoln adds this: team chemistry, moving the guy over, respect the game, your teammates, doing the little things, all cliches, but so true. You look at what happened in 2021, right? We coined this phrase gritty over pretty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of overdid it. We overused it, right? Where it was, they need to get back to gritty over pretty. That's true. But you don't do that by thinking, okay, in this moment, how do I want to play? It's a natural instinct that you have to approach it with. And that's one thing I'm excited to talk to Coach Harvell with tomorrow is just how do you get that natural mentality back? Not all right, I'm going to sit here and this is how I'm going to approach it. You shouldn't have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
The guys like Jackson Hallmark, Mojo, all those guys didn't think about it. Schwelly,
Joe Acker.
Yeah, they didn't think. They just went out and they just played. And Roscom as well. That's how you eventually get that trademark, not because so many people are thinking about it and you go out and you're playing uptight. That's because then the opposite's going to happen and you're going to walk guys. You're going to try to do too much and you try to play hero ball and you end up losing games in the midweek to Omaha, Creighton, North Dakota State, South Dakota State consistently. All right, good stuff there. Let's bring in Stricky for the crossover when we return right after this on Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Junior Achievement at Lincoln inspires and prepares today's young dreamers to be tomorrow's goal breakers, leaders, and things we haven't even imagined yet. Help more kids while having a great time at the JA Bowl-a-thon. Sign your team up and raise money to ensure the educational programs focused on financial literacy, career readiness, and entrepreneurship are always free to thousands of students. The JA Bowl-a-thon is February 16th and 17th at Parkway Lanes and Hollywood Bowl. Register at lincoln.ja.org.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with 4 Lincoln locations, but now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios at 1040 O Street.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Thursday, February 15th versus the Vegas Thrill at the Dollar Loan Center in Las Vegas. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 8 p.m. with first serve at 9. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Drinking and driving causes serious harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. In 2021, 65 people were killed in Nebraska by a car crash involving a drunk driver. Do not drink and drive. By drinking less, you can still be here for your loved ones. If you or loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and we have some really big savings for you right now. Our new crossover sale is underway. New Terrains, Equinoxes, and Trailblazers starting at $23,290. That's right, $23,290. Also, we've continued our huge Sierra and Silverado truck sale with over $10,000 off new pickups. You heard right, over $10,000 off list. Koppel truly has a small town feel with big city deals. We're right down 144th Street or at koppelcars.com. Stock numbers G260980 and C119824.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career? Or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting mainly cloudy skies this morning, becoming mainly sunny skies. This afternoon, we'll see a high around 54. Tonight, mostly clear skies with an overnight low around 30. And tomorrow, mainly sunny skies return. More mild weather, too. We'll see a high around 57. I'm meteorologist Kyle Clucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Even before you start. That was a preemptive shh.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
I already had someone created in my image. He's evil, he wants to take over the world, and he fits easily into most overhead storage bins.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. One quick note just to wrap up that college baseball conversation. Don't forget, the NCAA made it to where 3 full-time assistants can now be on the field. And not that they couldn't be on the field, but now it's full-time, right? You might remember Nebraska hired Mike Sirianni away from Wichita State during the offseason. Danny Marcuso, who was a volunteer, is no longer with the program. And obviously Jeff Kirsty, who is replaced by Rob Childress, is no longer with the program. So once again, there's just a couple changes there with Nebraska baseball, as Mike Sirianni is going to be a third full-time assistant. Austin, Stricky, that's big for that's big for college baseball, especially for a place like Nebraska, because it draws more maybe better coaches
to a Big Ten program if they're going to get an opportunity to start there.
Part of that, too, is that Wichita State hasn't been the same, right? That's where Sirianni came from. So for Nebraska to get a guy out of Wichita State, which is a respected program, like that shouldn't be a starter school. Like Wichita, we know, has some baseball history, but just in general, having a third assistant is long overdue.
Yeah.
In college baseball and college softball as well, right? I know you guys have had Olivia Farrell on recently too, right? Like, not only is it a good opportunity for young coaches to break into the business, these rosters are huge, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the players that are on the active roster that see the field.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, there's another double-digit number of guys working. So to have just 2 full-time paid assistants that can actually do the coaching with the head coach, that's not enough. You need the head coach. I mean, I would be fine with them going to 4 or 5 assistants if certain schools have the budget.
At least 3 or 4.
Well,
Yeah.
Looking at 3 now, but at least 4 to 5. I agree with you.
Well,
It's just too much. You got hitting, you've got base, you got fielding, you've got pitching, so you can dedicate to specific areas and really help them to become better.
Well, and a big part of it, how often do we talk about analytics, right? I mean, I had a friend that was involved in the analytics when Nebraska won the Big Ten championship, and his position kind of got eliminated because they needed to make room for other guys. And so it's like things like that. When you have caps, you have to not necessarily, I don't want to say like, oh, that's a drastic outcome, is eliminating positions, but you have to make choices of what is more valuable. Is it a young guy that's starting up with analytics that can be extremely helpful and beneficial for your program, or is it an experienced coach? And you have to decide. Programs shouldn't have to decide.
They shouldn't have to, but I would say if you're in Nebraska, take a look at what the top programs are doing. Vanderbilt, Wake Forest has a great pitching lab right now.
Yeah.
Kansas State is getting in on the exit velocity stuff. These, not that Kansas State's great, but I just know they have a pretty good,
unbelievable facility now.
Right. That's what Nebraska needs to lean into, right? Because you can get good players. You're not going to get many SEC caliber players to Nebraska. You can get good coaches. It's hard to get SEC caliber coaches to Nebraska. So if that's not what you're able to do, where is your advantage? Find the numbers, right? Find those little underlying metrics that say, hey, this guy does this exceptionally well. We need to get him on this roster. Or this guy's, slider has an exceptional amount of spin. He needs to throw it more. How do we keep tweaking it, right? So for Nebraska to go away from what I think could have been one of its best advantages, heck, the Royals came up here to do some of their preseason testing one off season at Nebraska's facility, because they have like the TrackMan, the Rapsodo, some of
the
that
performance lab.
Yeah. Nebraska, I think, needs to lean into that more so than go away from it.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you guys. The analytics do help. This is one sport, like we talk about it at times with football, that sometimes it creeps too much into the game. Baseball is one that's fully embraced the analytics side of it. And as long as you know what you're doing, right? Because like you can look at the screen of numbers and see a large number and be like, oh, that's really good. Well, guess what? You don't want a large number of launch angle, right? You need that. If I remember correctly, it's like between 17 and 22 degrees is like the pristine launch angle, if I remember correctly. And so it's like figuring out how do you do that. The Rapsodo helps with exit velocity and launch angle and just barrel speed and like things like that play a factor in and our differences in the top tier programs and teams that aren't playing in the postseason. All right, let's since we are running late, what's coming?
Can we just throw this out there too? So Notorious B.I.B., thanks for texting in. He said, I'm not calling for Bolt's head, but coaching was our downfall last year. We should have never gotten rid of Erstad. Well, here's the thing. Darren Erstad resigned.
He did.
Nebraska didn't fire him. And I don't know your read on it, but my read in, having talked to Darren on our show last year before he got his number out on the outfield walls, another, behind the scenes conversation in previous life, that legitimately was a family decision. Darren has younger kids, getting to high school that he wanted to watch grow up and help coach. So Nebraska didn't fire Darren Erstad. Saying he resigned was not just cover for, hey, resign or we'll fire you. That's not what it was. And then he goes on to say this. I just wanted to say that the Darren's style of coaching was better than Will Bolt's. I think that's entirely subjective, so I don't know how to say yes or no to that. But I would say Darren Erstad's approach was much more professional, right? A guy that made a long living in Major League Baseball, trusted the guys to do their work behind the scenes, maybe even a little, as fiery as Darren was, maybe a little more laid back on a game-to-game basis, understanding how long the season is. Whereas Will Bolt's background is grinder, had to grind his way up to Nebraska, forced his way onto the roster, forced his way onto the field. Texarkana, right? Junior college, coaching there, going to the SEC as an assistant for a long time. Darren Erstad had the meteoric rise, right? Darren Erstad was a fantastic prospect who brought a professional mindset to Nebraska that, for the most part worked. Nebraska was never terrible with Darren Erstad.
No.
But I do think that Will Bolt's approach isn't better or worse. It's just more college oriented. And you see that in how he goes about teaching the game and bringing players onto the roster.
Well, and he talked about it months ago, Will Bolt did, where you have to, what's it called? You have to assess the transfer portal. And this is where those assistants come into play, right? Is you need somebody to do the work of the transfer portal.
And that'll be Sirianni.
Yeah, and that'll be Sirianni to where figure out a way to where you have to decide, all right, who do we want to bring on visits? Who do we want? You need to talk to coaches. You need to watch film. You need to see the analytical side of things. You need to take all of that into account when trying to decide who to bring in on your roster, especially in the spot that Nebraska's in, because Nebraska doesn't have the pick of the litter. They're not an SEC program. When you see SEC guys enter the portal ready for a jump up, or ACC guys into the portal ready for a jump up, it's not a jump up to the Big Ten. It's a jump up to the SEC. And so Nebraska needs to find the junior college guys, the guys from Tulane, the guys from Southern Miss that they did in Charlie Fisher last year, that are going to be big parts of the roster. And that takes time. It takes time, and it takes a lot of effort and work to find diamonds in the rough, because they're not diamonds in the rough if everybody knows about them. And so you need to figure out a way, and this is a part of the third assistant where it's extremely beneficial just on that scouting side, right? Lance Harvell, Will Bolt can take care of the guys that they know. The guys that they know are good enough and are talented enough to play at Nebraska, and they can make those visits. You need a guy like Mike Sirianni to uncover the diamonds in the roughs that are going to take Nebraska not only to all right, every now and then they're going to finish first or second in the Big Ten Conference. They're going to be a consistent NCAA regional team. But how do you get to where you're hosting, right? Will Bolt is so adamant on that. They need to get Nebraska to a place to where they're hosting a regional year in and year out.
And I think that if that's what Will Bolt is saying, that's the standard he needs to be held accountable to.
There you go.
Right? This year, make it back to a regional.
Yeah.
Find a way. If that's as a 3 seed, so be it. Be a 2 seed then next year.
Yeah.
And then host one the year after that. My last thing for you guys, I want both your opinions on this. Out of 5 years, how many years should Nebraska baseball make a regional? What's a fair expectation?
I think it's 4.
4 out of 5?
I think it's 4. I also look at it this way, guys, unfortunately, that Nebraska, it's hard not to be disappointed in the last couple of years, knowing you had top two rounds in NFL or MLB draft picks on your roster. And in the last 2 seasons, not a single region or postseason matchup to show for it. That's disappointing.
I mean, I think the talent is there.
Yeah.
And I think, just areas probably of pitching, they really want to, solidify that and make sure there's consistency there, up and down the board, both in closing and starting. Yeah. And, middle relievers they're important, but it's not necessarily a crazy piece that you ultimately need. You want guys just can come in there and get the job done. But I think they want to solidify that, mix in some speed and some balance in those areas, and hitting for power and stuff like that hasn't really been a problem at Nebraska. So I think just across the board, just have a good balance and just continue to find those gems that maybe, like you said, with the analytical piece of it, to just find some gems.
I think it's interesting because we always go back to that gritty over pretty team, because that's the last, extremely successful Husker baseball roster. And they didn't hit the ball all over the yard. And that was something that when you talk about base paths and you talk about that stuff is always going to be important. It's tricky. You know this as well, better than anybody of us, me or Austin here sitting here. But when you can't hit home runs, when you can't hit the long ball, you need to make up for it, right? And producing runs and driving guys over. Last year, that wasn't the problem. Nebraska was able to hit the ball over the yard. They were losing games 12-9, 12-7, 13-6. They were losing those types of games. It wasn't run production. It was defense. It was errors. It was the just throwing something as simple as saying throw strikes. It was that. It was the free 90s, the free bases. Nebraska has to figure out a way to get that pitching staff locked down and develop those arms that they got in the reserve, because right now there's not a guy, as Austin and I were talking about, that you can 100% say, yep, he's a guy that can go out and get just 6 innings every single performance. So, all right, guys, what's coming up on the show today?
It's going to be a good one. Bill Self got ejected last night. How many times has he been ejected as Kansas's head coach? We'll answer that question, go over that, and then kind of touch on, like you said, Kansas's road record. Pitchers and catchers report today. So what are some of the big baseball headlines? We'll go over that. Shootouts back. We were just at Buffalo Wings and Rings on Sunday, so $30 to Buffalo Wings and Rings on the line. We had the most watched Super Bowl of all time. Are you surprised? And then how different will these two teams in the Super Bowl be next year? An NBA shoot-around, a lot of interesting stuff going on last night. And Stricky, not going to bat for LeBron, but going to bat for John Stockton.
There he is. You want to talk about off-season headlines for Major League Baseball? The Cubs have done absolutely nothing.
Jack squat.
They were in line. They were on the target for Shohei Ohtani. And since Shohei asked for an ungodly amount of money, which I'm happy that the Cubs did not fork that over, they've done nothing. They've gotten Craig Counsell, and that's it. Cody Bellinger still doesn't have a home. Anyway, that's my rant. We're out. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Junior Achievement at Lincoln inspires and prepares today's young dreamers to be tomorrow's goal breakers, leaders, and things we haven't even imagined yet. Help more kids while having a great time at the JA Bowl-a-thon. Sign your team up and raise money to ensure the educational programs focused on financial literacy, career readiness, and entrepreneurship are always free to thousands of students. The JA Bowl-a-thon is February 16th and 17th at Parkway Lanes and Hollywood Bowl. Register at lincoln.ja.org.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Thursday, February 15th versus the Vegas Thrill at the Dollar Loan Center in Las Vegas. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 8 p.m. with first